Star Citizen recently announced their final ever concept ship, the Anvil Odin, selling for $5,000. Stretching over 750 meters, the Odin is going to be a true beast. Requiring more than 50 people to properly operate it, it will offer huge firepower with the cost of large logistical challenges. It is also one of the most beautiful ships that they have ever released, with a magnificent interior, amazing exterior design through and through. But can you justify the price? After all, it is currently just the promise of a ship, through JPEGs and a simple 3D model. I think you can. My name is Silent Archer, and today I'm going to tell you why you should buy the Anvil Odin, the most expensive spaceship ever released in Star Citizen. The first major obstacle for many people is the price tag. If the Odin cost $100, I don't think nearly as many people would complain about it. In fact, I think most people would buy it. So it becomes obvious that the price tag is a very central problem. My view, however, supports this craft costing $5,000, and so I have to explain myself. I will begin this by asking a simple question. What can $5,000 get you in the real world? You could buy a used car, maybe 4 tickets from New York to Japan, a banger gaming PC. Frankly, you could do a lot with $5,000. What you wouldn't be able to do with $5,000, however, is build a 750 meter long spaceship, gather dozens of people to then have a massive space battle with people putting out fires, manning turrets, and taking off in their own spacecrafts. Not even close. You could have all the money in the world and never experience that. Ever. That is, if we limit ourselves to the physical realm. If we look towards the digital realm, suddenly, for just a mere $5,000, you can experience all that. Isn't that a great deal? We went from infinite money not being able to purchase such an experience, down to $5,000 being enough to purchase one. What's even more is, considering that the ship will require well over 50 people to man it, if you were to split that money across the entire crew, it'd only end up being max $100 per crewman. That's only slightly more than a AAA game. This means that in both cases there is an argument for it. On the one hand, $5,000 is not that much money to spend if it means being able to have a huge real-time space battle with hundreds of people. On the other hand, if the price tag annoys you, it's just a matter of splitting the costs. We went from infinite resources hindering you to being able to experience it for $100. Voila, just like that, the price is no longer a problem. Okay, but this assumes 2 things. 1, that the ship actually ends up releasing, and 2, that a digital experience is worth paying for in the first place. This is where things get interesting. Let's begin with the first assumption. We will never know if the Odin battlecruiser ever ends up releasing, until it has released, that is. What we can do, however, is look at the past and at the present, to decode CIG's current trajectory. At this point, I think we can all agree that Star Citizen isn't a scam, and if you disagree with that, then this isn't the video for you. If we look at the trajectory then, it becomes apparent that they are moving forward as fast as they can. They tried to deliver us the ships we've paid them for, to the terms that we agreed with, and they tried to move the game forward because they love this game just like we do. They believe in this game, and they wouldn't just ditch it like that. Even if years pass before it becomes available, however, arguments can be made for purchasing an Anvil Odin. Firstly, loaners will be handed out to the ones who purchase it. The Idris for now, and presumably Javelin when that releases, which is another large-scale battleship supporting many of the same systems that the Odin will end up supporting, just in a smaller scale. Secondly, giving them this money gives them further resources and incentive to actually finalize the plan, letting them get there more quickly. Yes, it's true that all we can do is trust in them to release this ship, but I think their current trajectory strongly supports this trust, and we cannot fear that the money spent on this game is of waste, because it's going into the building of our dream game. The next assumption may become slightly more philosophical, but it's thanks to this mindset that I love games as much as I actually do. Firstly, what is a digital experience worth? The important part of this is deciding what an experience actually is. Is there even a difference between a digital and a real-life experience? I think we can all agree that an experience in the real world is largely decided by our sensory inputs. That being sight, hearing, touch, taste, smell, and emotion. If we then compare that to a digital experience, for the most part we only lose touch, taste, and smell. The question then becomes, how much value does the experience lose by missing these qualities of touch, taste, and smell? What makes these three particular qualities so important if they're the only things differentiating a digital experience to a real-life experience? I suppose an argument could be made that a digital world is simulated from a server or your PC, and that it is not physical in the same sense that a real world is. But at the same time, if we still feel the emotions, still see the beauty, and still hear the stillness, what is different? For all we know, the real world could just as well be a simulation, created by a higher power. Is it fair then to look down at a realm created by ourselves? Of course, I'm not endorsing playing video games 24/7, as most evidence does seem to point towards our world being deeper than the worlds we create, but still, isn't it important to acknowledge the fact that emotions are emotions? That sight is sight? I know for a fact that from my years of playing space games, I now feel at ease when I look up into the night sky. I feel like I've been there. Maybe that's not fair to all the astronauts who've actually been there. Maybe I should be ashamed of myself for allowing myself to feel such a thing, but it's nonetheless what I feel. Isn't then a digital experience still valuable? Still worth something? I think it is, and I think humanity continues to prove this by reading books, watching movies, and playing video games. So if it takes $5,000 to experience running around on a battleship in space, isn't that worth it? We spend hundreds, if not thousands, on movies, books, and entertainment, so why not spend a few thousand on a game where you're in control of your own fate and can decide your own story? The Anvil Odin battlecruiser challenges the way we look at video games and at entertainment. It brings up the question of how can we justify spending $5,000 on a digital JPEG that merely symbolizes and promises a dream? What I have said in this video is enough to convince me that it makes sense, however. It's enough to convince me that, yeah, of course you can spend $5,000 on a digital battlecruiser that's 750 meters long, absolutely gorgeous, and will support huge space battles. If we assume that CIG holds their promise and acknowledge that the digital realm is an experience worth experiencing, then what is $5,000? And if that's too much for you, can you really argue against the fact that $100 per crewman is outrageous? I don't think so. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps out a ton, and I appreciate every last bit of support. Also, feel free to comment, because I know this is a controversial topic, and I'd really appreciate hearing all of you guys' views, and if you agree with me in the first place. Maybe I'm the only one who believes this. Thank you so much for watching this video. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.